Good morning and welcome. If you are here joining me live, do come on and say good morning, say hello, let us know what you're up to, or good evening, or wherever you are in your point in the day. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK, and I normally try and come on a Monday and Friday to do some crafting, what with COVID bugs and on stage and all sorts of things. It's been a little bit hit and miss over the last couple of weeks, but hopefully we're back onto some sort of regular routine today. So here we are on Monday morning. What are we, the 15th of November? And it's lovely to be here with you. So do come on and say hello if you're here with me. And yeah, let me all know what you've been up to. If you are a demonstrator, were you on stage over the weekend? Have you had a busy weekend too? Obviously, that means there's lots of exciting things coming up. New catalogues, things to look forward to. So lots of planning going on. But let me bring in my downward facing camera, and let's just say, oh, that's a bit fuzzy, isn't it? We don't want to start off fuzzy. I don't know why these things are going fuzzy all of a sudden. I think it is my phone rather than my internet, which is very frustrating. Let me just check out that we are on the internet. Yes. Okay, well, hopefully it will come back to us in a minute. It does tend to float in and out a bit, and this is quite shiny, so it does catch the light. So this is me. Good morning, Angie. This is me. As I say, my name is Helen Jennings, but you will find me under all things social media under the name of Love-a-Duckie. So www.loveaduckie.co.uk, and you'll find me under Love-a-Duckie on Pinterest and Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all of those other places. So do go and check me out. How's my cough? I'm certainly feeling a lot better now than I did do. Thank you, ladies. Right, so I'll just go through a couple of bits of news before we get started. Starting tomorrow, there is going to be a seasonal sale where you are going to be able to, as it says, stock up and save. Now, this is quite an exciting sale in that it is on all our basics. Never mind Black Friday, you can have a whole rainbow of seasonal sales here because it's all about cardstock and ink pads and dies. So 10% off of all our cardstock, the coloured cardstock, 15% off of the Stampin' Up's classic inks, and 20% off dies, and these are dies from the annual catalogue. So if you go into the annual catalogue and see any dies there that you fancy, there are 20% off all the dies from the annual catalogue, 15% off ink pads. That's just individual ink pads, that's not bundles, and it doesn't include things like Stays On and Memento because obviously they are not Stampin' Up inks, they are third-party inks, and then 10% off of cardstock. So that's really exciting, and that starts tomorrow. Well, actually, if you're here in the UK, it will start at 11 p.m. this evening, and it will run until the 18th. So it will run until here in the UK 10:59 on the 18th of November. So you've got 2 days to get stacked up on all that card and ink and paper. So as I say, not just black, whole rainbow of colours. So make sure you don't miss out on that. As I say, we have had on stage this week, so I thought I'd just share with you. These are the little make and take projects that we made, featuring a new suite of products called Heart and Home. I'm not going to bombard you with too many samples from those things just yet, because obviously that's not fair. If you're not a demonstrator, you can't get your hands on them yet. So let's concentrate on the things that you can get your hands on for a little while longer. So what I thought we'd have a play with this morning is something that has been in my craft room for a few weeks, but I haven't actually played with apart from the little bits that I've done this morning, and that is this Merriest Moments bundle. And it's a big bundle. It's a I don't know, blooming bundle. Who knows? Because not only do you get stamps and dies, you also get a 3D hybrid embossing folder as well. So it is really quite an exciting combination of things and really rather beautiful. So let's have a look at what it is that you get, the bits and pieces. So we have this Merriest Moments stamp set. So together is the merriest place to be, as we know when we gather on a Monday morning and a Friday morning, thinking of you this festive season. A joyful Christmas to you and yours. There's a joy there, a season's greetings. You've got these stamps with this foliage, holly leaves and berries, a bit of a splattery. It's quite an interesting splattery really, because it's got like little crosses and things in there. So that's, yeah, quite an interesting little splatter. You've got these that will build up your sort of stylized poinsettias. And so you've got some more leaves and things there. So really lovely stamp set for building up really pretty images. You have lots of dies that go with those pieces. So you've got your flowers here, and then you've also got these pieces here that will build up your centers to make them really quite 3D. You've got your leaves that will die cut your holly leaves. Yeah, so a really lovely little collection of dies just there. You've even got your little die there that's going to cut out that little dotty bit just there, which will be useful for the center of your poinsettias. So really lovely. But then you've got these other dies in here. So you've got this big die just here, and you've got this big die just here, and you've got this little frame piece just here. So let me put the foliage pieces to one side for a moment. Let me move this out of the way just for a moment. We'll come back and have a look at their samples in just a second, because here we've got, and I've actually, as I say, I have actually run this through this die. Let's see if we can get rid of that bit just there. So we have this big die just here, this die here, and then this little frame piece just here. And these work hand in hand with the other thing that's in this set, and that is this hybrid 3D embossing folder. So you've got this sort of embossed leaf shape in here that you're going to see better in a minute when I show you a piece of cardstock with it done. This die here will cut out the entire embossed shape. This die here will cut out sort of the individual foliage pieces in that embossed shape, and this here, you've got this bit of a frame in the middle, and that will cut you out either a piece to layer up on the top, or it will cut you a hole in the center of your frame, depending on how you want to go. So there's a lot of dies. Excuse me, just caught the back of my throat. There is a lot of dies in this bundle. There is the embossing folder and there is the stamp set. So it is a really meaty mega bundle. It's just beautiful. So let's have a quick look here at some of the samples that the Stampin' Up team have put together. So you've got this one here. This looks as if there's been a background piece cut out of possibly gold shimmer vellum or something, and then you've got the coloured frame, embossed frame on the top, and a few of those flowers around the edge. Really pretty. This is just that embossed detailed frame cut out with a greeting stamped in the center, and that has all been added green. Although this was, it's been sort of sponged green. You've got the beautiful poinsettia flowers that have been built up here with some of the foliage stamped in the background, and as always there is one more sample along with the bundle in the back, and that's in a different color. That's using some cork paper in the background, and that is sort of the entire, so that's this die there has been used to cut out that embossed frame, and the colour has been added, and then you've got the flowers and things on the top. So some really lovely things that they've done with those embossing folders, and we're going to have a bit of a play today and see what we can make with them. So let me just pop these dies back here, because what I have done is I have taken some white card and I have run it through with the embossing folders and some of the dies. So this is just the embossing folder on its own. So if you really just want to run the embossing folder through, you can see that that is really beautiful. If you're a lover of white cards, which they are really pretty, just white on white, you could just have yourself a white card base, have that sort of trimmed down and sitting on the top as a label, and perhaps do yourself some white poinsettias or something to go with it, or perhaps add in a touch of silver or something, but really beautiful, just a greeting in the middle there, and it would be really easy to make some really stunning cards very, very quickly. If you were doing something like an invitation to a Christmas party, that would be really lovely. You could print off your invite and stick those in the middle and just run those through the embossing folder, because obviously you can have it going anyway. That would look rather good, wouldn't it, if you handed that to somebody with a "you are invited to" in the centre there. Yeah, so really pretty. So that literally is the embossing folder sort of run through. So what I've got here is I have cut a hole using that die. Where are you, die? I've cut a hole in my cardstock using this. Now, how I went about doing that, this is actually a card front, but I will show you how I went about doing that. Because you always want to do die cutting before you do your embossing, because if you emboss and then die cut, you're going to squash your embossing. So really, ideally, you want to do your die cutting first. So what I did with this is I used this die as my guide for where I wanted that die to be. So obviously I'm not going to run this through, I'm not going to worry about getting it perfect, but I used this guide. I put this die in first as my guide, laid that die in the center, decided where I want it, just secured it with a little bit of tape, removed this die, and then I was able to run that die through the machine and know that it was in a good place, then to be able to put the piece of card in the embossing folder. And when I lined that up in the embossing folder, if we take this one for instance, you've got the embossed lines where your frame is going to be, so you know that you're going to be able to line up the edge of your die cut piece in your frames just here, and then just run that through the machine. So that is a embossed frame. And then these are the pieces cut out. Now I have picked up my chalk, so I've obviously picked up a piece of chalk on my fingers as I picked that up. So this is the solid outline, really pretty. And this, where it's this piece frame in the middle is embossed, it's just so lovely. And then possibly a piece de la resistance is this piece just here. So this is the detailed die cutting out, and then I've run it through the embossing folder. So I've die cut it first and then embossed it, and isn't that just beautiful? Just really, really lovely combination of dies and embossing folders, just stunning. And you can really, work those as much as you want to, or as I say, just leave them really simple, and either ways that's really beautiful. Obviously this die is really useful if you then wanted to add an additional frame. I don't know where my little piece of card that came, oh here it is. So you can just die cut your frame if you wanted to add in, you know, additional colour. So if you wanted to do that background in green, for instance, and you wanted that in white, you can just add that in. That's absolutely beautiful. Yep. And particularly with this one, you could do a couple of layers. So you could do it in, you know, gone fuzzy again. You could do this in a couple of layers. Let me come on out and come on in again. That often works. Technology. So you could build up a couple of layers. So if we imagine that this is the detailed, just by turning it round, you're then going to have sort of 2 layers of foliage. That's not showing up ever so well, but 2 layers of foliage that aren't sitting on top of each other. You're building up those layers. So, you know, but you could really certainly do a couple of layers. Yeah, different foils. You could add foils. There is just so much you can do with them. They are beautiful. Vellum. We've got a variety of vellums around. Yeah, you could use vellums. Say you could use foiling. You could use, I don't know, designer series papers. Anything really. Just really stunning. Okay, so I think I'm going to use my frame for one card and my detailed cutout piece for another. So I am just going to trim this down a smidge. I think that is an official technical term. So it is currently a piece of half a piece of A4, so it is 14.9 by 10.5. I'm going to trim it down so that it is caught that corner a little bit. Let me just take my scissors to trim that corner. Okay, so we've just trimmed that down a little bit. And we have that. I am going to leave this frame white for this one, but we're going to use some of our stamps and things to build up some additional flowers and things on the inside, and we also want a nice greeting in the middle. So let's go with thinking of you this festive season. Peel that off, and we'll have that coming in that centerpiece just there. We're going to raise this up on dimensionals. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to just position that out where I want it on my card. And I'm just going to take a pencil and mark that centerpiece, because then I have a nice target to aim for. Oh, sorry. I think I'm going to go. Oh, actually, I think I'm going to go Merry Merlot. I think we'll go dark. Don't use Merry Merlot very often, but now seems a good time. I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper because I'm using my nice on-stage grid paper, and I don't want to do just on-off stamping off on my nice new grid paper. Oh, apologies. Now, this is the first time, obviously, that this stamp has been used. So we always like to give them a trial run when it's their first time. I haven't, Angie. That's very exciting. Thinking of you this festive season. I'm going to leave that a minute and then I will rub out those lines, but we'll leave that ink just to dry slightly. Then let's bring in these poinsettia stamps. That one. And that one. And to bring in as well this tiny little dots. Let's bring in our C block and our B block. And let's bring in our itsy bitsy A block. There we go. Right. Let's have a couple of big ones. I don't know why I stamped that off. I didn't need to. I got into the rhythm, didn't I? Just a habit. Let's have some bumblebee, I think. Ooh. Have a couple of little bumblebees. And then let's take some of this sort of pine foliage, I think. These a bit of a clean. I'm actually going to take this large one again, and I'm going to do a couple of those in Mossy Meadow. Because with poinsettias, they tend to sort of almost the leaves on them are it's just where some are green and some are red, isn't it? So we'll have some offset green at the back for those. And then perhaps we'll come in with some evening green for this little pine stamp. Might have 4 of those. I'm going to come in with this stamp just here. And there we go, Old Olive, I think. I do love Old Olive. Old Olive is still probably my favourite. Green, it's a bit lighter without being too light. Right, okay, so we now have a selection of foliage pieces. I'll move these ink pads out of the way for a moment. And let's find our dies. We have our large poinsettia, our small poinsettia, the little piece that cuts out those blobs in the middle. We have this foliage piece, that foliage piece. Is that all of our bits and pieces? I think so. Now let's die cut those. Obviously over the weekend we've been looking at all things spring and summer and new. There are some lovely things coming up. Very excited to see a duckling stamp. Rest assured you will be seeing more of that one. Just getting my eye in on the, I think the first time that ever you use a set, you sort of almost have to get your eye in for the first time you use it, and then you sort of get to think, right, okay, I know that that needs to be that way round, and sort of get to see things in the stamps that pop out to you. Let's see if we can add this one on here as well. I'm sure we can. And let's run that first lot through the machine. The other thing about the sale coming up this week is obviously the other promotion that is currently running is fabulous joining offer promotion. So if you are not already a Stampin' Up demonstrator, now may be your chance. And I think that word demonstrator can be a bit scary for some people because they think that they've got to run classes, do Facebook Lives and YouTube channels, and actually none of that is true. You absolutely can if that's what you fancy doing, but it certainly isn't a requirement. It is about being a happy shopper and sharing your other things with other people as and when you want to, and in a way that you feel able to if you want to at all. Some people never share. That's not kind, is it? No sharing. Actually, sorry, it just moved. It really is about doing it your way. But the big thing is that if you currently get your starter kit, you get £130 worth of goodies of your choice for £75. Now, obviously, if you love using Stampin' Up inks and card, or there's a few dies in the annual catalogue that you've got your eye on that you haven't got yet, you are able to combine the benefits of the sale with the benefits of the starter promotion. So you are able to put cardstock, ink pads, dies with their relevant discounts into your starter kit. You will get all the discounts, and you'll be able to get £130 worth of them for £75. So sale price £130 worth for £75. So that's enormous. If I get a chance, I'm going to sit down and work out some maths on that, what that might look like, because it feels a bit mind-blowing. But absolutely, if you love our cardstock and our inks and you're looking to stock up on those, then put them in a starter kit basket. If you're here in the UK and you're not currently closely associated with another demonstrator, then I would love to support you in doing that and have you as part of the Ducklings team. It is always said that people join for the discount and stay for the community, and it is very true. It is a wonderful community. The Stamping Up community worldwide is a wonderful community. The Stamping Up community here in the UK is a wonderful community. And my Love-a-Duckling team is obviously, well, they're just the bee's knees. Where's that little one gone? So do seriously consider that and benefit from that offer, because why wouldn't you want to, really? Too good to miss. Well, I think so anyway. And then beyond that, obviously, there are other huge benefits to joining now. The pre-order for that fabulous new catalogue that I talked about, that we saw on stage, that starts with demonstrators. You have to be a demonstrator for it to start on the 1st of December. So if you join now, you get to pre-order all your goodies from that catalogue starting in December. You haven't got to wait till January. We're starting to gather a little collection now. And because of the way that it works, there is a requirement, if you want to remain as a demonstrator, there is a requirement that you put in a certain level of sales per quarter, but your first quarter never counts. So actually you would still be an active demonstrator by the time that the pre-order goes live for the new annual catalogue. And on top of that, you get a 20% discount as a starter on anything that you purchase. So lots of good reasons why you would want to grab yourself a starter kit. Definitely before the end of November. But most of it and get one during that sale. But if you have any questions about that, do get in contact. Or if you are elsewhere in the world, go onto the Stampin' Up website and find a demonstrator near you. I do have some demonstrators that I collaborate with on some other things around the world if you're looking for some suggestions. Right, last run through. Sorry, I should have done some of these beforehand. Right. Let me just pop those dies on there for now so that they don't wander. Let's bring back in our card base and without our pencil 9 now that our ink has dried. Probably won't see it anyway underneath the frame. If only I can find my frame. Those are the bits we're not using. Here it is. So let's bring in some dimensionals. Let's build this frame up. You do also get this sort of lovely snowflakey effect in the background here with this embossing folder. It's really pretty. Let's have a look at these. Let's do a bit of building of flowers. Now I'm going to do a bit of glue in the middle of that and offset that one. And we'll put a spot of glue in the middle of that one. And like that, I think. So that's just added some green behind there. Let's put a little dots in there. How pretty are they? What have we got here? We've got a green one, 2 layers. So let's go that around till we're happy with it. And go back round till we're happy with it. Let's add in our little spots in the middle. I've got some of this piney coloured sort of foliage. I think if we bring that in like that, look at that, how pretty is that? So I'm going to take a dimensional underneath here to raise that up a little bit. Let's bring it down into that corner. And let's bring in this these piney pieces. I think what I'm going to do is put a piece of a dimensional on the back of there, because that's going to sit on that inner frame. And a dimensional in there, and have that sitting in that inner frame just there. Just beautiful. It is just a gorgeous, 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 gorgeous set. Beautiful. So there's one. So that's using those stamped flowers and things. Now the other one we were going to have a play with is this one. And somewhere I have got my soft pastels. I'm going to move my take a pick tool round so that I've got my spatula. Let's come in here with some green, some granny apple green. And let's have a bit of mossy meadow. I'll bring in a little bit of Daffodil Delight as well. Let's see. Right, I'm actually just going to use my finger. What you can do is add some Versamark to this if you want to make it the colour pop a bit more. I'm quite happy for it to be a little bit muted. You could use a sponge dauber for this, but I'm just going to use my finger. I'm going to come in meadow up here. Might need a little bit more. Come over this bit just here. I'm adding a bit of green and a bit of daffodil delight to this one. Just to those colours and give that slight variation. And we've got another bit just there. Bit more yellow. As you can see, this really isn't very scientific. And I'm actually going to put down a little bit of the night of navy and mix that with that mossy meadow. To make this sort of bluey green. I'm just going to come in because we have got some little areas just there and just there. There, right. I'm going to need to be very careful now because I am going to get pastels everywhere if I'm not careful. Right, let's go back to our greetings. I actually bring this way. Go with together is the merriest place to be. my block. I think I'll come in with Mossy Meadow. Now just put my finger in the ink pad, so if battling pastels on my finger was not bad enough, I've now got ink on my finger as well. Together is the merriest place to be. And I think for this one, just going to take some of these holly leaves, the holly berries, and once again come in with Mossy Meadow. I have two big ones. We go with one small one, and let's have some real red berries this time. And we'll find the dies for that. So one holly leaf, two holly leaves, and berries. Let's die cut those. Do you like the sort of slightly striped detail on these leaves? It does. Nice little design feature. Got sticky fingers, so every time I slightly adjust the die, it sticks to my sticky fingers. But those jolly red berries, aren't they beautiful? Now we could have stamped this in Versamark and used the pastels over the top of these as well. We just wanted them to be kept with that soft colour. holly leaves underneath there, so we'll try and keep those showing. But I think we're going to go the mossy meadow carved base. Is that right? Yeah. And the greens will pop nicely against there. Let's stick this down. I'm just going to stick the centre panel. I'm not going to stick the leaves. I'm going to leave those have a bit of life, I think. And I'm just going to add some glue to the end of this. Then I want to leave these holly leaves underneath, sort of peeping through. Let's have that one coming here, and then we'll pop dimensional. Oh no! So yes, so when Shelley and Sarah were stamping together on stage on Saturday, Shelley licked the stamp. Oh, to clean it. Apparently, it's not the first time she's done it, but yeah, we all went a bit. But it just goes to prove, I suppose, that they must be relatively food safe. We'll bring in some holiday rhinestones. And I have one down here. I think we could add much more. It almost looks white on that picture, but it really isn't. There is really lots of different colour in that, that background image. That's picking it up better. So, the Merriest Moments bundle. We obviously didn't go with it as a solid cutout, or a solid front piece. We had our frame cut out of the middle, but just lots of options for this really stunning bundle. And you can get as complicated or as simple as you like with it. So I hope you've enjoyed those. I definitely need to go and wash my hands, and yeah, time for a cup of tea. So yes, thank you for coming and joining me. Hopefully we'll be back as usual on Friday morning, if not beforehand. But yeah, other than that, have a really, really good week, and I will see you all very, very soon.